The gentrification of Chocolate City. One of DC's busiest streets, 8th Street, became the mecca of black success in the 1900s, earning the name Chocolate City. But right on the heels of the city's era of business was the civil rights movement, where blacks and Hispanics faced racial discriminations and disenfranchisement, both of which would have long-term effects. These were directly caused by the curses placed upon the children of Israel for disobeying God's commandments. The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15 says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." Guns, alcohol, and drugs like marijuana and crack cocaine flooded into the community, bringing the demise of what was formerly known as Chocolate City.
It's a war, and we're losing.
DC in the early 1990s came to be known as the murder capital of the country.
More proof of these curses can be found in the book of Hosea chapter 4, and more specifically verse 2. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out and blood touches blood.
But again, when the new neighbor came in, you started seeing buildings that once were vacant being fixed up. You started seeing the park areas where people go out and hand the park, they started getting beautified and looking pretty.
The book of Micah chapter 2 verse 2 reads, "And they cover fields, and take them by violence in houses, and take them away, so they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage."
It's the most intense gentrification process in the country, and it doesn't look like it's going to be stopping anytime soon. But how does this phenomenon occur, and what exactly does this process look like?
Once stood at over 70%, earning it the nickname Chocolate City. But just 45 years later, that number dropped to 48.3%.
A prophecy in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 43 and 44 says, "The stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low." An example of this scripture can be shown in the district's income earnings, where black and Latino workers continue to earn significantly less than whites within the city. Much like bills and property taxes, DC's rent and eviction rates increased. However, lease renewals and property repairs decreased according to the studies. The city's monthly rent averaged at $443 in 1980, but in 2019 that average increased to $2,000 to $3,000 or more.
At the effort to silence the music blasting from speakers right outside of a phone store next to Howard University. So they're planning a protest tonight, and they're blaming gentrifiers for the noise complaints. As Bruce Lasham reports, those tunes are part of a long-time tradition.
Has blasted outside the phone store at the busy. Who would have thought you could get sued for playing go-go music?
People were walking their dogs on Howard's Yard.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the beginning of it. Heard, Don't Mute DC event, which was Mochella this time with Backyard. So we was on our third one. So everybody know, the real gonna survive. You know what I'm saying? They ain't call it Chocolate City for nothing. Regardless of how the percentages are shifting, it's people that grew up, lost people, lost friends, lost parents, lost money.
They not only built their houses from scratch here, but they built the whole community. They built churches, they built schools.
As we take a look back into the scriptures, one specific verse in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 30 reads, "And thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein." This gives further proof that the blacks in Chocolate City are the people that the Bible speaks of. The way of living for poor black DCers is changing rapidly, even in the public housing sector, and many residents fear the erasure of black culture amidst the changes, causing them to pick up and find another home. But there are many who want to keep the history of Chocolate City alive, despite its destruction. Presently, there is no other city that has endured the intensity of gentrification like DC, where more than 20,000 blacks were displaced in 13 years alone. These are the people who fit the curses in Deuteronomy 28. The gentrification of Chocolate City.